Imagine standing in a world where every shadow could eat you alive, where survival wasn't about strength, but about thinking faster than everything that hunted you. In the golden savannas of the Pliocene, a small band of early humans faced a desperate choice: starve, or steal from a monster that could crush them with a single kick. 2 million years ago, Africa was a very different place. The air was dry and hot, the grass stretched for miles, and danger waited behind every shadow. Back then, humans were small, not yet us, but our early ancestors, Homo habilis. No fire, no weapons, just stones, sticks, and a fragile hope to see another sunrise. A small group of them had been walking for days, tired, hungry, barely speaking. Food was gone, water was low, every breath was a struggle. The land offered nothing but the whisper of wind and the sound of insects hidden in the tall grass. The youngest among them, Togo, stumbled once, catching himself on a rock. He was thin and quick, his ribs sharp beneath his skin, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and determination. Kara, the oldest female, moved at the front. Her gray hair clung to her forehead, and her steps were slow but sure. She had seen more seasons than the rest, and the others watched her quietly, waiting for her to choose their path. When she stopped, they stopped too. When she crouched, they crouched. From a rise in the dry earth, Kara scanned the savanna. The wind carried a scent, faint but strange. She motioned for silence and crawled forward through the reeds. And then she saw it. A nest, vast and round, resting in the open plain. Inside lay 3 enormous eggs, pale and smooth, each the size of her head. The light of the afternoon sun made them gleam like polished stone. But they were not alone. A giant bird stood nearby, a monster of feathers and muscle, taller than any of them. Its gray plumage shimmered in the light. Its long legs were built for striking, for running, for killing. One kick could break a skull. Even lions kept their distance from such a creature. The group crouched low, their hearts pounding. The smell of the eggs drifted through the air, warm, rich, full of promise. Their stomachs clenched at the thought. Kara's eyes met Togo's. She didn't speak, but he understood. Food, but danger. For a long time, they stayed hidden, watching the bird pace back and forth, its small, sharp eyes scanning for movement. Finally, Kara whispered softly, just one word, carried by the wind. Think. That night, they camped beneath a baobab tree, and Kara began to plan. The morning light was pale and gentle when they awoke. Dew clung to the grass, and the savanna stretched before them in quiet peace. The kind that hides danger beneath calm. Kara traced shapes in the dirt with a stick, a circle for the nest, dots for each of them, and a cross where the bird stood guard. Her plan was simple, and that was what made it so dangerous. Half of the group would make noise, drawing the bird away. The others would stay hidden. Togo, the youngest and fastest, would run in and take the eggs. No one argued. They had no other choice. Hunger leaves no room for fear. By midday, the air shimmered with heat. The tall grass swayed like water, and the chirp of insects filled the stillness. The bird was there, as it always was, standing watch. Kara waited until the wind shifted, until their scent would blow away from the nest, and then gave a low grunt. The signal. Luma and Kebu crept to the right. Nara, sharp-eyed and calm, moved left. Kara remained behind a low ridge of rock, watching. Then, the first rustle. The bird's head snapped up. A second noise, 2 stones clicking together. The sound echoed across the clearing. The creature hissed, spreading its wings. The ground trembled beneath its steps as it charged toward the sound. Dust rose in golden clouds, swirling around its body. Kara rose suddenly, shouting and waving her arms, throwing a stick past the bird's flank to pull it further away. And that was the moment. Togo burst from hiding, heart pounding, legs moving faster than thought. The nest was just ahead, 3 shining eggs resting in a bed of reeds and sand. He knelt, his hands trembling, and lifted one. It was heavier than he expected, warm, alive. He wrapped it in a sheet of bark and reached for another. Then came the scream, a deep, guttural cry that seemed to tear through the air itself. Togo froze. The bird had turned. It had seen him. He ran, The earth shook beneath his feet as the creature thundered behind him. He could hear the wind whistle around its wings, feel the vibration of each step through the ground. Its beak snapped shut inches from his back. Dust filled his lungs, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. Behind him, Kara shouted again, her voice rising like a storm. Stones flew through the air. The bird turned, distracted, furious. Togo dove into the tall grass and vanished. The world went still. When Togo reached the baobab tree, his legs gave out beneath him. He fell to his knees, gasping, the eggs still held tightly against his chest. A moment later, the others arrived, panting, wide-eyed, covered in dust. For a long time, no one spoke. Then Kara knelt beside him and touched his shoulder. In her eyes was pride, quiet and deep. Togo placed the eggs carefully on the ground. One was cracked, but the others were whole. They would eat tonight. The sun began to set, painting the sky in colors of fire and gold. They roasted the eggs slowly, sharing in silence. The smell filled the air, rich and warm, wrapping them in comfort they hadn't felt in days. When the food was gone, they sat together beneath the stars. For the first time in a long while, they were full, safe, alive. But more than that, they had learned something. It wasn't claws or fangs that saved them. It wasn't strength. It was the plan, the trust, the timing, the way they moved as one. In the quiet that followed, Kara looked out over the plain and smiled. They hadn't just stolen food that day. They had discovered something far greater, the power of their minds, the spark that would one day become language, fire, civilization. The wind sighed through the grass, carrying the scent of earth and ash. The stars above them burned cold and clear, as if the universe itself was watching. And there, beneath that ancient sky, humanity took one small step forward, not with violence, but with thought. It all began with hunger, with courage, with a plan, and with a single stolen egg. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Before Civilization, where we bring to life the quiet, forgotten moments that shaped who we are. Because every great civilization started with a moment just like this.